In this video, we're examining the real reason for why Cam Newton was abruptly released. We'll also be sure to talk about what's next for Newton, including reasons for why he could play elsewhere, and reasons for how his career could be coming to a sudden stop. Of course, we'll also include details on Mac Jones' ascension and how he won Bill Belichick's heart and mind. And thank you to the Coldest Water for sponsoring this video. To cement how this QB plan was jumbled from the beginning, how about Belichick handing Newton $3.5 million guaranteed? And more importantly, 2 of that $3.5 million was in the signing bonus, which means Newton keeps that money no matter what deal he signs next. Just about 9 out of 10 NFL fans could have seen that guaranteed money coming back to bite, but Belichick still gave it to him. Then he proceeded to play him with the first stringers every time he was out there. I guess the one redeeming quality is in the end he got it right. Cutting Cam Newton was the right move. Yes, he looked good in preseason games, but that's a tiny sample size compared to what was going on in practice every day. And when you add in the fact that he was playing with starters against the Eagles' backups in one of those games, well, you can just about throw that data out the window. Overall, Mac outplayed him by quite a bit in practice. And when Cam had a big sample size last year and sucked about 80% of the time, in my opinion, he's lost any benefit of the doubt. But still, Belichick sat there every week and saw how much Newton sucked, and he still re-signed him. So something had to change on multiple fronts for such a drastic move. And for me personally, it all goes back to one date. August 25th, 2021. Otherwise known as the day the tide turned in Foxborough. Get it? Tide? Roll Tide? Anyway, Mac Jones completes 35 of 40 passes against the Giants' starting defense. At one point, he threw 18 straight completions. In the 2-minute drill, Jones went 5 of 5. He hit crossers, digs, sold the play action, hit tight ends for touchdowns, launched bombs down the sideline. Actually, you know what? I'll take it a step further. The Patriots' offense looked like it had the past 2 decades when they had, dare I say it, Tom Brady. A 2-minute drill being played down to perfection? Does that sound like another upstart quarterback in Patriots history to you? Now don't get me wrong, Jones has had his fair share of rookie mistakes, and those will no doubt continue. But what seems to happen every time he has a bad practice is this innate ability to rebound and have a great day. It was said time and time again that Jones would rarely repeat the same mistake twice. And just like you'd expect when hearing that, he's had his best days of practice in the last couple of weeks. It seemed like this competition was unfair at times when Belichick would ask Mac to do things that he wouldn't ask Cam. Mac was forced to work with different depth players filing in and out, while Newton was blessed with the starters. And this next part is actually true. Belichick would blast the music for Mac, and then when Cam goes in, he'd go and turn it down. It was truly bizarre. And Bill didn't hold anything back on the defensive side of the ball either. He would send elaborate alignments at Mac and force him to adjust pre-snap. Even before Mac had been drafted, I had talked about his pocket presence and decision-making skills. And even though he hasn't played an NFL game yet, I think he blew coaches away with those abilities, especially when he's standing next to Cam Newton, who frequently disappoints in those categories. When Mac was given a large amount of reps with the starters, he picked apart the defense. All of a sudden, it looked like Alabama's offense shredding Vanderbilt. Oh yeah, on that particular day, where is Cam Newton to be found? Sitting at home because he's unvaccinated, and he violated protocol for unvaccinated players. Cam just isn't good enough to make that kind of mistake. And Mac Jones took the great opportunity and ran Newton out of town. Most notably on that day, Mac Jones received a low 5 from Belichick. And let's just say old emotionless Bill is quite serious about when he hands out an illustrious low 5. Some have gone as far to call it the low 5 that shook the world. Anyway, according to The Athletic, were COVID-19 protocols a concern with Newton? Absolutely. There was plenty of organizational frustration last week when Newton was back in the COVID-19 protocols, and the Patriots knew that could happen at a moment's notice if he remained unvaccinated and was deemed a close contact. I know what Belichick said publicly, but I would take what he says with a grain of salt, because he's not allowed to say if a player's vaccination status had an effect on roster decisions. Yes, Urban Meyer had to learn that the hard way. So it did seem that every timeline had an eventual Mac Jones overtaking of Cam Newton. But when the team finally realized that Mac is better right now, they had to examine whether it was worth keeping Newton as a backup. It'd be a little bit of an awkward locker room with Cam as the supposed leader last year, now having to back up a rookie. And they can inject an extra dose of confidence in Mac by getting rid of a former MVP in the quarterback room. Like it or not, Cam Newton still has plenty of fans across the NFL, both in the stands and in the locker rooms. By the way, according to Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal, the Patriots did not ask Newton to stay. Still, there are already rumors spreading about Cam becoming a backup for another team, and that team would probably have an established starter to avoid the awkwardness/pressure of having a former star on the team backing up. For example, ESPN has already linked the Cowboys with Cam, which could make some sense. In the end, there's always going to be an extra risk with a backup who is forced to partake in extra COVID protocols. You obviously want a backup who is ready every week, especially when you have a quarterback like Dak coming off an injury, but when that backup carries extra risk because they could disappear for 5 days due to protocol, is it even worth it? Apparently not, at least according to one NFL executive who told ESPN that Newton belonged on TV this season and not on the field in the NFL. So the future of Newton doesn't look too bright, even if he does sign with another team. The future of Mac Jones, though? Of course, now there will be no greater pressure than facing defending Super Bowl champion and former all-time Patriot Tom Brady in Week 4. Mac is the true heir to Brady. He's the selection of the organization to fill that Brady-sized hole. A hole that will never be fully filled, but hey, the 49ers once replaced Joe Montana with Steve Young, right? Success has trailed success before, and in that way, the future could be quite bright for Mac. But for now, he will of course be operating by the Patriot way, 1 week at a time. And as NFL fans, it's probably only right that we give him time to adjust as a rookie. Who am I kidding? I just compared this kid to Tom Brady and Steve Young. Let's see what he's got.
The real reason Cam Newton was cut is because he would rather shoot himself in the foot than get a shot in the arm.